right. Motocross Nation's coming up this week. Tim Ritchie coming up. So the big news in our sport, I think we should take it right off the top, is Ken Roczen. Wow. It appears that him and Honda are headed for a split. He was on James Stewart's podcast, and he said that, he has no contract. His contract was done at the end of the year. And he's been negotiating with Honda, and he said Honda pulled the offer off the table. And it was a good offer, and it pulled it off the table with Supercross only for next year. In a sort of an unprecedented move, Honda comes back in with a press release the next day and says, the offer was not pulled away. It was not withdrawn. Your agent declined it. Wow. And it turns out it really boils down to this World Supercross ride. Honda doesn't want to support it. He committed to 2 rounds of this World Supercross without telling Honda about it, just assuming that they were going to support it, which is kind of bizarre that he and his agent would do that. But Honda said, we'll sign you for Supercross 2023, but you can't do those World Supercross rounds. And Kenny and his agent said, no, we have to do those World Supercross rounds. And that's where the impasse is, and Honda put the press release out. He said that it looks like they're going to have a breakup over these 2 world rounds. I guess I'll start with you, Robbie. Kind of a crappy way for Ken and Honda to go out. Like, what a legacy. No titles, but, dude, race wins indoors and out, right?
Yeah.
A great comeback from an injury. It's sad that it just went like this. Like, yeah.
Yeah, very sad that it has to go this way over a couple rounds overseas, which I think is a great opportunity. I mean, I wish that I was ready to go over there. I had a couple calls to go over there, and it just seems like very fun to go over there and race in Australia and stuff like that. So, yeah, bummer way for what him and Honda have to go through for that.
I mean, I get it. Like, I don't know why, we've seen the factories have scaled back their support of these overseas races, right? Cowie just won't let their guys go. They just are like, hey, we pay you for 29 races in America, and that's it. And we don't care that, think about it. Like, Richard, you go to Paris, you're like, hey, I'll take $200K to go to Paris, show up there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Right. The team has to supply the parts. The mechanic has to work. The suspension guy's got to work. The motor guy's got to make sure all this work is done so that your bike is ready to go. Shipping is paid for by the promoter for the most part. It's built into the contract. But if you're the OEM, what are you getting out of that? Like, your rider's making a shit ton of money, but you're doing work and exposing him to injury. I don't necessarily agree with the OEMs backing off the support of these overseas races, but I understand it. It's a reasonable position for these OEMs to take. Like, hey, we pay you for 29 races in America. We don't care that you're getting paid extra cash for World Supercross or for Bercy or whatever. You ain't going.
I listened to your reaction podcast with this, and part of the Honda press release was they want to treat all the riders fairly, right? You were saying they don't want
That's what
Jet,
they said, right?
They don't want Jet and Hunter going to Australia, so they can't let Ken go, or they'd have to treat them fairly. So. Yep. I kind of feel like I have a little bit of a theory on this. I don't know if I'm right, because certain things lead me to believe the opposite, but I almost feel like Honda's letting him be a free agent. He can go do these races as a free agent, and then once the races are over, couldn't they hire him back and it'd be a win-win? He did the races not under Honda anymore. He's a free agent now. Yep. And then if they hire him back, then he gets the races, and Honda gets another potential Supercross winner.
Yep.
And they're not screwing their other riders because Honda isn't.
Yeah, because he's a free agent.
Not Honda. Yeah.
Look, I've heard that too. It's not a crazy theory. The press release didn't say we wish Kenny well for the rest of his career. Like, there was no severing of ties in the press release. Yeah. They left it open. Like, we still support Ken. It was. They left it open-ended in the press release. So very, very well that could happen, right? He could go do these World Supercrosses he's riding for the Firepower Honda team with his own bike. There was photos of his bike with factory connection suspension, Fox gear and all that. And then he could go back and sign with Honda. Yes.
But other things like kind of make me question how good the relationship is, because he did do that post on Instagram that really didn't look good for Honda.
Right.
Like, if he was going to make this a plan or something, or this was the secret plan or whatever, why would you be kind of making them look bad? Even on the James podcast, we listened to it on the way up here, and it just wasn't, I don't know, it just made kind of Honda didn't look that great in Ken's words. So
RJ, you've worked with OEMs before, like Suzuki and stuff. Like, I saw that post. We were up in Idaho. All my texts were blowing up with it. I can't believe he put that out there. I mean, he took it down, but the damage is done.
Yeah, that's probably something at his level and the point in his career you do not want to post. Especially, I mean, things happen and they have factory parts. So, yeah, taking that down was probably in his best interest. But like you said, he already posted it. And, I mean, thankfully he didn't get hurt. So I think there's a lot of things that he should probably think about before he does something like that. But he's Ken Roczen. He's pretty vocal. So,
I mean, he's probably pretty upset too.
Yeah, but still, like you're in the middle of contract negotiations. You agree to a World Supercross ride without telling Honda.
right.
Or knowing anything about it.
Yeah,
right?
or
With
knowing anything
teams and
about
all
it.
that stuff, yeah.
You do that post. You're negotiating with them. You put that post out. Look, bikes break. Everybody knows that. You just tore your knee up from your bike blowing up.
Yep.
Shit happens. I was a mechanic for a long time. I can't believe he posted that. Like I'm shocked he would do that. Now he pulled it down, but still the damage is done. I said this in the reaction podcast, and I like Ken. Ken's a good dude, but he's coming off his worst year ever for Honda. He's not happy with the bike. Very vocal about it during Supercross, right? Talks about his bike a lot. He agreed to a World Supercross ride without telling Honda, just assuming, I guess, that they would support it.
Yeah, did we assume that he was just going to race World Supercross and factory Honda? He was going to race a factory Honda?
I think if you were to ask Ken and his agent, yes, they would agree.
And like,
That's
how
what
would
he's
that
gonna
even
do.
work if he has to be on a team to do the series? Like,
Dude.
would they just give him they would just put graphics on his factory Honda?
I don't even know. I don't think he'd even run the Firepower graphics because that's a WPS owned company, right?
And then you couldn't even. He's not on a team really. Then like, I don't know.
Dude, yeah.
Well, now you think he's on completely different equipment, I would imagine, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's not getting factory stuff for these
Yeah.
World Supercross rounds. So if you're Honda and you've got all this going on, and then he blows you out on Instagram, I'm just like, hey man, thanks. It's been we paid you millions of dollars, and this is how it's going to end. Like, that's where I don't get. Like, I had somebody tell me in the industry this week, he threw away 6 years for 2 races. 2 World Supercross races, which obviously, as he said in the James pod, he wouldn't bend on.
Right.
And he threw away a Honda deal.
Yeah.
Or, like Richard said, he signs back up, but I don't see that.
Yeah.
Bad timing on his part for sure
Yeah.
to post on Instagram like that. And then where's he going to go? I mean,
Well, that's
a
my
big
next
question.
topic, right? What does he do?
Like, does he really
Right.
go to HEP Suzuki? Like, does
No,
he go that
no.
route?
I heard his agent told somebody there's interest from KTM and Cowie.
Okay.
Do I see the Cowie thing? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
I mean, the Red Bull thing's something we're all concerned about too, right?
Yeah, I
he
mean-
mentioned that too. He's been with Red Bull
Right.
since he's been 13 years old.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I wouldn't imagine that's dropping. And then, I mean,
just-
he's got a busy month coming up. 2
They've-
rounds of
they've-
World Supercross.
They've paid him, $6 to $10 million in his deal at Honda, and he's just so high end of these World Supercrosses. He's getting $200K around high end, probably not that much, but maybe let's say he's thrown away all this money for $400K. Let's say he's getting $200K around, so $400,000. And he can talk about going there for the fans, and I'm sure that's part of it. He hasn't raced overseas forever, right? That is part of it, I'm sure. But mostly he's doing it for the money. And he's thrown away $400K over, a 2023 deal. And I don't get it. I don't understand how it's come to this.
Well, he doesn't seem too concerned.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's stoked to go race World Supercross, which I think is cool.
And he's going to take a vacation, he said.
Yeah, and like we all grow up wanting to race and wanting to do these things, and like you said, he hasn't been over the water in a long time, so he wants to go over there. I applaud him for that.
Yeah.
Could he be wanting to be like the World Supercross guy from now on? Maybe ditch all this.
No,
and
but
just-
that's when we talk about where he's going to go. Like,
yeah.
2023 World Supercross is going to run opposite the Nationals,
Right.
and maybe he's the figurehead for that 10-round series that they say they're going to have. They were supposed to have 5 in the fall. Now it's 2. So, count me as sort of a little skeptical of that thing. I think they'll have races. I just don't know how many. So maybe he just is like, screw it. I mean, he's a German kid. Red Bull sold all over the world. He's a foreigner. He could be the World Supercross guy
Very well could be.
in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a much bigger series, like you said, and they're trying to grow it. So they need a figurehead like him to really make it legit and bring some more good guys over in the future.
Yeah. It's just Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe this will put him in a better mental space too. I mean, I don't know. He seems so up and down. Like when you listen to his, I guess, press release of him making this decision, like he said in Supercross, he fell apart, mentally. So
Yeah,
maybe this will
bring
kind
him
of,
back.
maybe this can kind of bring Kenny back. I mean, it was, at least he raced every outdoor round. I was
Yeah.
scared multiple times that he was
Yeah.
going to pull out. So
Yeah.
thankfully he did race every outdoor round. And I don't know, just the way he went about this definitely didn't make him look any better to us.
I think he's getting like some terrible advice. Steve Astafan, his agent, is a hard guy to negotiate with. Steve's the same guy that after Reed won the title with Larry Brooks Racing in 08, he wanted more money. Brooks is like, there's no more money. I want more money. And then they couldn't. Steve was being a bit of a dick about it. Larry turned around and signed James Stewart and said, see you later. So Steve's got a history of kind of burning burning everything when he leaves, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't. Kenny's got no other options. I don't really think Red Bull and Cowie are an option. Or I'm sorry, Cowie and KTM. I don't think it may be a small option.
Right.
He's not starting his own team. Steve's boxed in with taking a Honda ride. To me, from the outside. There could be more here, but so why are you trying to drive a hard bargain? Why are you agreeing to World Supercross knowing that Honda's not going to – I don't know, man.
Could he be trying to kind of phase himself out a little bit? I don't know. Like he's getting a bunch of money to go do these World Supercross races. Could he be – maybe he doesn't want to do the whole series. He'll make a bunch of money doing the 2 rounds, maybe take a break if he doesn't get a ride or anything.
I mean, his deal for 23 was going to be Supercross only. Apparently, is what Honda was offering, which makes sense. Jets jumping up for 450 motocross. They got Sexton, of course, as well. This is just like a nuclear way to ruin a nice time at Honda that you've had.
Yeah.
And if I'm Honda, and he posts that chain guide breaking, and then he's not happy with the bike during the year, I think I'm just like, hey man, his agent's driving a hard bargain. I'm just like, cool man, we got Jet Lawrence, we got Chase Sexton, like we're good.
Yeah.
Hunter
too. Like they're all top level talent.
Yeah.
And arguably have been doing better than Ken lately. I mean, we all know Ken's insane.
Yeah,
and can win anytime, but they got guys who can also win. So it's not like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, Ken did say on the Bubba's podcast that he was going to prepare for Supercross and Motocross, so maybe he wasn't thrilled about his contract only being Supercross, and he does want to do outdoors. I don't know.
He said on this show that he was feeling motocross. He was, because I mean, for a long time I've been like, he's doing Supercross only because he's near the end of his career. It's a perfect thing. As we work through this more on the show, I start thinking about how maybe Astafan, the World guys have money. There's no doubt. Those World Supercross guys. Maybe the World Supercross guys have done just that. Hey, man, for 23, you can be our guy. We'll pay you whatever. Not $200K a race, but something. And you'll be the figurehead of this whole series next summer.
Yeah.
Not a bad route to go, too, because, he seems really close with Brayton. And if they're going to travel together, and Brayton seems like that's kind of the road he's going down,
He wants to do
right?
one more year, he said. Yeah.
Traveling the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and him and Brayton can kind of run that up and maybe be on the same team, and maybe that'll make him happy. I don't know. It's quite interesting. I feel like when you're in the position he's in, sometimes you get a little lost and you don't realize how good you have it. So
something needs to change. I feel like, after the past year, he's going to make changes. Like he's not just going to do the same thing and hope it works. He vocally said that. So this is a big change. Maybe he could be a world guy now, and maybe he's different bike, different things.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come back and be winning everything again. So
it's
good chance for world right now, right?
Yeah. No, it's interesting to watch what he's going to do. It's hard to see him. I mean, for the World Supercross, he'll be on a Honda, a privateer Honda-ish, right? But for 23, maybe he can ride something else. Red Bull backing and Fox and Red Bull and go do it.
And this is what's crazy. Like if you look at his history before Anaheim won this year and how he got crazy sick. He said he was having a great off season, and then it all went to crap. And then he comes out, wins Anaheim 1, and then he vocally says the bike's no good, and then he crashes in Oakland. But it's like, don't you think at that point, like you just won, maybe keep the same setting, take it easy, let your body kind of like, where's the mentor there to just be like, you just won on that setting. It seemed to work pretty well. And then it's like his season has Ray doesn't win it.
Downhill from
Anaheim
there.
won. It just derailed. So
And then he wins Lakewood, and you're like, okay, like he's got the
Yeah.
red plate, like
Right.
we're in this thing, right? And then that happens. So, all right. Speaking of Kenny and Firepower Honda, they wear Fly Racing and they have Firepower parts. I don't think Kenny's going to do any of that, but I think he'll be with Yariv and the Firepower Honda team. Thank you to the folks at Firepower. They got batteries made in featherwhite lithium batteries, chains made in Japan. O and X ring as well.